there, friends. Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Cal and I are here today to talk to you about 3 books that all have a very common theme running through them, even if they are very, very different stories. So I read all 3 of these books around the same time, and I didn't mean to in terms of linking their themes. They just sort of all came up and were things that I was like, all right, this sounds good, I'm going to read it. And then after I was done them, I'm like, wow, this is very interesting that I've read them all so close together, because they are definitely very similar, like I said, in terms of the theme. So the theme, though, that I want to talk about is women behaving badly. And I don't mean girls gone wild type of thing or anything like that. I mean women who are taking the law into their own hands, exerting justice and violence over people that they think deserve it. And there is just something about that that is very fascinating to read about. I feel that it can be very cathartic in a way of, do you ever just like watch the news or hear this story about something bad that's happened and you're just like, oh my gosh, if I had this power, if I could do this, things would be so different. And it's sort of taking that idea and then taking it to the next level and just increasing the intensity, increasing the violence, increasing the justice, quote unquote, until you're left with these characters who are more anti-hero than hero. And it's just really fun to read about women that take matters into their own hands. So these 3 books are definitely that type of story, even though they are very different. So the very first one is called This Girl's a Killer, and it's by Emma Wells. This Girl's a Killer. So this book is very, very much like if you have ever watched or enjoyed the show Dexter, about that serial killer. Yeah, it's very much like that, only with a female protagonist. So Cordelia by day is this really awesome pharmaceutical rep. She's got this killer wardrobe. She loves beautiful shoes. She loves beautiful clothes. And she loves her found family. She has this best friend and her best friend's daughter who she loves more than anything. But by night, she rids the world of men that are too dangerous to be kept around. So she actually goes after guys who have hurt other people, especially women, and she kills them. So she's going all about this and doesn't even think anything of it until her best friend starts dating this guy who might be the beginning of the unraveling of everything she's been doing. Because not only does he seem like he is not a good person, but he starts to drive a wedge between her and her best friend, and she has to figure out what she wants to do about it. This book is so great because it doesn't take itself too seriously. So yes, it deals with a lot of really heavy and deep themes, obviously, but it also is very tongue-in-cheek and quite funny as well. So if you're looking for a Dexter adjacent sort of story about a woman who just murders unscrupulous men, This Girl's a Killer is just really, really fun. Now, mixing things up completely and going back in time a little bit to the Industrial Revolution, we've got Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. Hungerstone. Now, Hungerstone is a retelling of the vampire story Carmilla, which if you are not familiar with that story, that's fine. You don't have to be to read this and enjoy it. If you are a fan of Carmilla, you're going to absolutely adore this book. So Carmilla was the queer vampire story that came out before Dracula that not as many people know about. And it's absolutely fantastic. If you have a chance to read it, it's really, really good. And this is a sort of retelling of that story. So basically, it's set in the Industrial Revolution. Lenore has been married to her husband, Henry, who is this steel, he owns the steel company. But their marriage is really starting to sour. He treats her really, really poorly. And she sort of just takes it because it's the time period, and also because she has these feelings of anger in herself that she is so afraid of. She has such deep, intense emotions, but she's always been told her whole life by her aunt that raised her and by Henry, you know, you keep that down. You don't show, you know, you just show everybody a pretty face and a placid demeanor, and that's all the world wants out of you. So she keeps tamping down these feelings of unjustness, these feelings of anger, these feelings of hunger, because she wants so much out of her life. She wants to experience things and know things and feel things. And in this marriage to her and in this time period, she just can't. So when they end up having to move to this really isolated part of the country, they come across this carriage that has been abandoned or attacked, and they find this beautiful woman inside named Carmilla, who is very hauntingly beautiful and dangerously alluring. And Lenore is just completely drawn to her. She brings her into their lives, and the longer that Carmilla stays in their home, the more of that hunger and the more of that anger starts to come out of Lenore until it's impossible to tamp it back down again. This book is so much fun. It is definitely a vampire story. So there is some bloody violence in it that is absolutely delightful and fun, if that is your sort of thing. And if you just love reading about, women from back in different time periods, and the ending, I feel like the ending of this book is just one of the most satisfying things I've ever read. It's absolutely fantastic. So if you like your bad heroines or anti-heroes with a little dash of vampirism, try Hungerstone. Okay, and last but not least, I feel like this one is the most unique out of all three of these books. I really love the idea that was behind this story. I thought it was absolutely incredible. And it's called The Bane Witch. And this is by Ava Morgyn, The Bane Witch. So this book is sort of hailed as a mix between practical magic and Gone Girl. And I can totally see where that comes from. So this book is it's a lot of different things. It's a story of a woman coming into her own. It's a murder mystery, and it's a thriller, sort of all in one. So this is about a woman named Piers who has always sort of been drawn to different poisons. When she was little, she ingested these poison berries that didn't do anything to her, but ended up killing somebody nearby. And currently, she is married to a super, super, super abusive husband. She ends up faking her own death to escape him, and flees to a different remote part of the country to stay with her aunt, who she has not seen since she was a child. And her aunt, basically, when she gets there, tells her that she has this birthright, that incident that happened to her when she was a child, when she ingested those berries, was not just a fluke random accident, but it's something that is passed down through all the women in their family. And basically, it's two different things. So they are drawn to bad men. And in turn, the bad men are drawn to them. If one of them are around, they will inevitably find each other. But the other thing is that they consume poisonous berries, mushrooms, things like that, and it doesn't hurt them, but they can then use that to poison these awful, evil men. So the man that was killed when Piers was little was actually somebody that was trying to kidnap her, and because she had ingested those berries, she was able to bite him, or I forget how she gets the poison into him, but that's why he is dead. So the aunt then begins to train Piers in this power, and begins to explain why she is drawn to all these different things, these mushrooms and these berries, and why she's just so fascinated by poison. But at the same time, there's two other things that are happening. Her husband knows that she's not dead and is hunting her down. But there's also this other serial killer that has been going over the country murdering women, and he is now drawn to her as well. So you've got both of these men that are coming for her, and you've got her basically not knowing a whole lot about her powers or what she can even do with them, until she learns how to figure that out. So this was a really fascinating story. I thought it was so interesting the way they used poison as a way to protect themselves, but also to protect other women by going after these bad men. And the story was just really well written. Like I said, it's got a lot of different vibes. It's a murder mystery, it's a thriller, but it's also this really beautiful coming of age story of this woman who has to learn to embrace herself and embrace her birthright and her power, to try to make the world better for not only herself, but for other women. Really, really love this book. It was so satisfying to read. And even though it's like a really far out there kind of concept, it worked really well. And I thought it was super fascinating. The Bane Witch. Well, those are the books I wanted to talk with you about today. I hope that they sound really interesting and fascinating. And if you're somebody who is in the mood to pick up a story about a woman who is just done, she's not taken anymore, she's not going to lie down, she's not going to be stepped on anymore, she's going to go out and murder her way into freedom, then pick up one of these books. It's really, really just a delight. It was a ride, such an adventure to read these 3 books. And there's something for everybody there. You've got the historical one, you've got the fantasy one, and you've got the one that's more of a contemporary one. So there's lots to love with all those books. And all 3 of them are available at Farmington Community Library, so feel free to go and get them from there. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.